Hola! Well, it's been about a week, I think. I've made like 10 films. I didn't put any of them up. Wasn't happy with them. And I've been busy on top of it. So it looks like what, another 15 days or so and no more YouTube for Al? Because I'm sure I'm not commercially viable. But you are to yourself. So, yeah, lots going on. Holy smokes, man. Shit's coming and going. Like, I think the whole world's about to implode. That's crazy. Wow. Hey, we got that new ministry of middle class. Did you see that? Mr. What is he? Middle class happiness or something? Fuck, that even sounds like a Chinese English translation title. Oh boy. Trudeau kissing China's ass. Like, this is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. But, you know, if we're going to have, you know, a dictatorship, a communist dictatorship on this land, then, you know, we have to get in with somebody who's really good at it, right? China's probably one of the best at it. North Korea, not so good. I mean, a lot of starving folks there, you know. And you can't have mass immigration just to come over and starve. Doesn't make any sense. You know, I've been watching the Wexit rallies. Okay. Yeah. And I got this one progressive buddy that I like to hack on. Well, he hacks on me too, but oh yeah, he speaks full left-wing tard. But and university educated and just loves Nancy Pelosi and you know, Jughead and Nancy, you know, Crazy May. I mean, look what we got. We have Crazy May, we have Jughead, we have the Man-Child, and we have Casper Milquetoast. And anybody expects a result of what for this nation? Except for destruction, you know? Like we are so weak. We have such weak public servants, you know, heading heading this corporation, this corporate body that they're so weak. Like, they're just weak. They're pushovers. They're a joke to the world, all of them. And yet, people here seem to take them all serious, and I just don't get it. You know, they're really bad actors. The whole works of them are just bad actors. So, before I got another week on this job that I'm doing, so I'm not sure what I'm going to get out for any kind of films on this, but I will before I get the boot, you know, the commercial viable boot off of YouTube. I will get, because what I wish to do is, like, you know, I'm always going on about, like, this is the land of man, and this is a common law land, a place where it's the customs of the people are law here. And so whenever you're writing to a man or a woman who acts as a public servant, there's certain elements in that you need to keep in mind when you're putting a document in written form, or you're putting your thoughts in written form towards your fellow man or woman. And so, like, see, I made like 10 of these. I didn't like any of them. I just didn't like the way it was coming across. So, and then of course this thing cut off on me a couple of times, and, you know, mid-flight on me, so I just said the hell with it. But when I say it's important to realize that, you know, when it's important to deal man to man, okay? mano a mano, is because first, there is no ordinance, there is no, policy for any actor, whether it be corporate or government or a hybrid of each, to cause harm to mankind. And I'm always going on about that. But you also have to take a look at the other side. Okay, there is no mandate, no ordinance, no policy to cause harm to your fellow man as well. Like, it works both ways. And this is a level playing field. This is where we get to see eye to eye. This is where we get to deal man to man. If you're going to act, if you're going to be paid by the public purse and act as a public servant, that's fine, as long as you stay within the mandate and don't cause any harm to me, all right, or any harm to I, or or property of I. And so the biggest thing is, and I realize I've gone on about this a lot, but the biggest thing is, you have a public servant, a man or woman acts as a public actor. They're down here, they're below us. That title is under our feet. Okay, it was a title granted to them. All right, so that's the privilege. Okay, now if it happens to be a Caucasian man or woman that holds that office, then I guess that's what they mean by white privilege. Because certainly there was no white privilege in my household, or in the back alleys I slept in as a teenager. I didn't see any white privilege there, and I still don't see any. So the only thing I see are people that have, worked their asses off for one idea or another idea. Like, I have friends that worked their asses off, and it cost them a couple of houses and a couple of marriages, and got very successful in business. I've seen friends work their ass off and be union member, lifetime union members, and they receiving the benefits for that 33, 35 years. And I've also seen bad things happen to good people, and that's where shit happens. It just does happen. So as I get into these, okay, so I'm going to be putting these up on BitChute, I guess, as well. When I'm writing, when I do write, I remember that I'm dealing with my fellow man. So that means, look, there's somebody on the other side that could be having a good day, a bad day. I don't know how much stress is in their life. Maybe they shouldn't have taken the position, or didn't realize, the pressure and the stress of the position they took on, but maybe they signed a contract, they can't get out of it for another 2 years. Like, I don't know. So it's not the wish of I to cause harm to my fellow man through my righteous indignation over the monster. Okay, remember I was talking about Frankenstein? Okay, a man-made creation, corporation or government. Here it's the same thing, but so it's out of hand, and it needs to be put back in place. And so we have, it's like look, our creation has gotten out of hand, and it has. All right, we call it Canada, we call it the ministries, we call it Government of Canada or Canadian government. We have many names for these corporations, and more Frankenstein is now causing harm, loss, and injury to mankind. And we need to be able to put it back in the box. There's supposed to be a level playing field here, what was it? Aristotle said that the masculine republic gives way to a feminine democracy, which is therefore taken over by tyranny, right? So And that's the balance. We got to keep the balance, man. So when our creation gets out of hand, we have to be able to bring it back and forth. And there's supposed to be checks and balances. Now on the surface, it appears there are checks and balances. Like there's an ombudsman office. There's the ethics commissioner. And they don't seem to hold any teeth. So we're supposed to have an independent judiciary, where if there's an issue, and look, you know, like I've asked you to stop 3-4 times, you're causing me harm. Now I have to move on it, and so you go to a public court building to press, you know, to have your case filed. So your claim filed, so that you can build upon a suit to go after them, to get them to settle the hell down, to stop, because they're causing you harm. But then the judiciary, because of whatever reason, all right, I know there was some nonsense going on with the Freeman stuff, but for whatever reason, the judiciary is now a fight. You know, now I believe that judiciary there should be a smell test. There, it's like when you're doing you know, swearing out information before JP, and if you ever do that, always bring 2 or 3 witnesses with you. Always bring witnesses with you. So, anyways, whether they're independent or not independent, as long as they're a verifiable witness. Yes, an independent witness, a verifiable witness, is of the highest standing on this land, as long as we are still part of the free world, as long as the presumption of innocence stands until proven guilty. You know, I challenge all you guys to go look, just Google up common law countries. You're going to find, I can't remember how many it is, but you're only going to find maybe 10 out of the whole world. And within those 10, there's a couple of bijural that are hybrid, like where they're common law, but they're also Napoleonic Civil Code. Now, I believe, like I know Quebec, the common law holds the higher. So if I'm a Quebecor, I could go to civil court, or I can go to a common law court of record. I believe Louisiana is the same. Now Scotland, I'm unsure about. I'm not sure. I believe Scotland would have to be, this is just my own belief, but I believe Scotland would have to be, you know, of common law being the higher law than the civil law there, just because they're part of Britain, right? Part of England, Great Britain. So I'm not sure, you know, who holds the higher rank there, the civil, and then South Africa. But I mean, look how small. Now when you look at that map, okay, those are the only lands on this earth where you are innocent until proven guilty. The only lands. We are unique to the whole world. And we have a duty, a responsibility, and an obligation to our children, our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren to keep this uniqueness to the world. You know, if you get busted in France, okay, first off, you're gone for 72 hours and you don't have a right to let anybody know where you are. Okay? You don't get to talk to a lawyer for 72 hours. I think it used to be 72. Maybe it's 48 now. But yeah, you just disappear. And good luck in China. You just disappear. Gone. Is that what everyone wishes for this land? Is that it, like, this is where our public service seems to be dragging us, you know? Like dragging us down. Like we're trying to keep building the dream, the Canadian dream, and we got this public service, you know, like dragging us down, and coming up with every excuse in the world, and getting rid of free speech. Well, that's their number one objective. You get rid of the free speech, and you disarm the general public. Now we've got tyranny. Now the doors are open for tyranny. And don't kid yourself. That's how it's done, man. Just look at the Baltic countries. Look at the the Eastern Bloc. Look at the way things were done. That's exactly what's going on here now. We're creating enemies out of our friends, and we're becoming the peons for our enemies, because we're not creating any friends. China is not our friend. I don't care. It's like being a fucking loser and kissing somebody's ass, and they all still treat you like shit. You're just hanging out with the wrong crowd, right? You're just there to pee on, so everybody gets a laugh. That is what the man-child is doing with this nation towards Frankenstein across the sea here. You should be a little frickin' nervous. So before I guess I'm not considered commercially viable and YouTube tosses me to the wayside, what I'm going to do then is spend my time trying to teach folks the basic elements of properly communicating in written form with Frankenstein, with a man or woman who acts as a public servant, or who acts within a corporate fashion. Okay, because there are no corporation can be allowed to cause harm, loss, or injury to any man or woman on this land. All right, that is not in there. They can't have a mandate for that. If they have a mandate for that, they can't exist. I was really pleased to see Ezra suing. Now he loves his lawyers and stuff, and I believe that there is a place for lawyers. I mean, there is. But if you don't wish to be seen, you don't see a benefit in being seen as a legal person, nobody can force you, because we are not slaves yet. All right, we are not slaves. This jurisdictional corporate body does not own man. All right, they are our creation. Until slavery comes back out. I mean, just think of it though, 40 years before Britain got rid of slavery, right around the time of the Civil War, to our southern cousins, we outlawed slavery. Now it took one generation for it to take foothold, because those, like, and slavery was big in Quebec, in Laval at that time, both for some reason with our native cousins and with people that were kidnapped by their neighbors in Africa and sold on the slave trade. I guess it would be rival tribes over there. So whichever. I've never partook into slavery, and I don't wish to, and I'm totally against it, and believe it's just wrong to enslave your fellow man. I believe that we are all unique, every one of us. And I believe that all our bodies, these carbon-based meat sacks that we wear, all come from the land. So none of us are alien. Not by the looks of anything I see. Anyways, getting off of that, I bet you we were a shining star. I bet you, like, back in the day, I bet you it went worldwide. Like the free world with Spain and France and England and, South America, and wow, look what Canada did. Oh, they can't do that. Oh, there's going to be tyranny. Could you imagine all the talking heads and all the mainstream media back then? I bet you there was a lot of heat back then on us as a nation, or as, you know, the beginning of a nation, right? As a colony, outlawing slavery. I bet you we were the shining star of the free world back then. So, alright, so what I'm going to be doing for my next few videos is just basic elements on writing a letter. I was helping a guy, like I do work one-on-one with people. It's tough. Like, it's really tough working one-on-one with folks. I mean, you try to put across to folks so they can see something, and they don't always see it. So, like, I do work one-on-one, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of my time, and I do it on donation. I know Carl, you know, he doesn't refuse any donation, but he's never ever charged a woman money to get her kid back from the establishment. And you know, the establishment, the ministry, you know, these child protective services, da 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 da. I mean, they willy-nilly. I mean, they've created, it's like a slave market, and they've created an industry on taking children from their mothers, like even rape from the hospital. And it's look, the checks and balances. These women have no protection. I know Carl is a controversial man publicly, but I am a definite first and verifiable witness to the success and to the help. Yeah, he's kind of like Donald Trump on the surface, you know, like he's an arrogant motherfucker, right? But I've seen that man's heart. You know, here's something about the nature of mankind. We are all born capable of being monsters. All of us. That's why our creations, let alone turn into Frankenstein. Why do they turn into Frankenstein? Because there's always a man or woman that we have assigned or hired, or some kind of hireling operating that Frankenstein for us, that ministry for us, that government office for us, that corporate office for us. You know, everybody has the monster within, right? Everybody has the capability of being wrong, of evil. Everyone does. It's just those who choose not to. So when we see, and like I say, you know, I've seen this man's heart, and I've seen him put up a lot of shit, but he doesn't eat it. He doesn't eat shit. A lot of people don't like him because they think he's arrogant and so on and so forth. He kind of reminds me of Donald Trump, really. He does. I'd love to see Lentz working with Donald Trump. Oh, it would be awesome. It would be awesome. Because, no, he'd have Shifty Shift in those guys. He'd have a man-to-man. Oh yeah, no, it would be just great. It would be. But anyways, so the biggest thing is anytime you're dealing with Frankenstein, you need a paper trail. They always have one on you. Okay, so everyone needs a paper trail. And because slavery is outlawed in all its forms on this land, whoever the man or woman is, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, pulling all the strings, okay? That's what we have here. That's what we have in every ministry. There's someone who acts, who pulls the strings, who delegates, who dictates down to each man and woman that acts as a subordinate to, and to the one that's pulling the strings. Okay, the Great and Grand Wizard of Oz. And for anybody young enough that didn't ever see that movie, you know, this great and terrible Wizard of Oz, the Grand Poobah, was about 5 feet tall, I think, or 4'11", and wasn't scary at all. He just had a big facade, right? He had his Frankenstein, his creation, right? And had everybody fooled. Now, the only difference between that and our creation that now has started to rule us and create, you know, like this is where you get into, I just don't want this thing to cut off on me. Okay. So we created a government body, okay, this corporate body to act as a government body for everyone. And we created ministries. Now we created the public court buildings. We created court. Now what we have is we have pseudo. We have the government creating our creation, creating things to now not to attack mankind per se, but to keep their persons, their creation, their persons in check. And every time that they go after one of their persons, or presumed to be one of their persons, it's causing harm to a man or a woman, and we are not balanced anymore. And this is where the biggest frustration is. There is no balance, okay? And so if you cannot learn to stand as a man or a woman and have standing and stand within your rights, on your rights, if you take those rights away from me, like freedom of expression, I'm not man anymore. That man ceases to exist because that is part of me. You know? That is part of me. It's an inalienable right. When you see a picture of a man or a woman, you have to see their freedom of expression because they're born with it. Their freedom of thought, their freedom of conscience, their right to protect themselves. That all comes, that is all put in us. But the important thing is that every one of us has the monster in us. It's just those who we would call a good man or a good woman are the ones who choose not to let the monster run out. Okay, and that's the difference. So those who are monsters and using power and dictatorship, or what you call authority, to cause harm to folks just because they can, those are folks of not good rapport, of not good conscience. Those are folks of dark hearts that are not, put together properly, soul, spirit, and body, and mind, will, and emotions. There's something imbalanced there. Whether it's a choice, whether it came through trauma as a kid, who knows? But wrong is wrong is wrong. All right, I'll get to the elements of a basic letter.